Are you ever left wondering that you could be earning more for the incredible work that you do? Or do you feel sometimes that you're charging less than you should, or perhaps you're not finding or capturing the true value of your work that you bring to your customers? If that's something that you're going through right now, well, then you're in the right place. Because in this video, we're going to be diving into the real-life scenarios that highlight the critical aspect of running a home service business successfully, and that's by pricing your services with confidence and getting paid for what you are truly worth. That is the value you bring to your customers. Let's party. Now, this topic is very important to me because when I started my home service business, I fell into the trap of racing my way down to the bottom. What do I mean by that? Well, basically, I started charging very cheap services for garage door repairs. In fact, when I was doing springs, I was charging roughly around $100, $150. And the idea that I had in my mind at the time is that the only way I was going to be able to acquire customers and be able to grow my home service business is by being the cheapest guy in town. But unfortunately, and I would say for a very long time, I was leaving money on the table. I did not have the right mindset when it came to pricing my services. I should have been charging my services, in fact, based on the value and the service that I was giving my customer and my community. So this subject is one of the pain points that I've seen in many industries today, not just garage doors, but from HVAC to pool cleaning to pool repair to electrical work. And if I'm being honest, I think the majority of us who start a home service business feel compelled to be the cheapest guy in town because we are just trying to get our feet wet and get started. I had a conversation with a colleague of mine, and he's a great guy. I've mentioned him before. And one of the questions he asked me, how do you start getting customers when you're starting your home service business? So I shared with him my story. I basically let him know that I reached out, my messaging, once I got all my ducks in a row with regards to my home service business, I started messaging my family and friends within the community, the people who I knew. I started to reach out to certain property managers. I started to reach out to colleagues, or I would say people that were in the industry but that weren't necessarily doing garage door work. I did a little cold calling a little bit, threw out some flyers, got some business cards, threw that out as well. And of course, the low-hanging fruit was the free marketing that you could get through Craigslist. We did advertise. At the time, we were advertising through Penny Saver, so we were spending roughly around maybe $200 a month for advertising in the Penny Saver. Did that get us calls? Absolutely. We were definitely getting the ball going. It was snowballing like an avalanche, and we were seeing return in our investment for those efforts. Still, in all that time, I didn't raise my prices once. In fact, I was charging for a long while, for a considerable amount of time, I was charging really cheap for my services. And the reason why that was so detrimental for what I was doing is because in the beginning, I think in a lot of ways, I didn't truly understand all of the foundation work that was required in to start my home service business and what that required or what was necessary to cover that cost. And thinking in terms that all I really wanted to do, all I really was trying to get was just a phone call so I could charge someone $100, or I could make $100 a day or twice in a day, $200, $300, whatever the case is. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago. So in that time, you could easily say that that was okay if you wanted to start your home service business. Now, let's take into perspective that with this conversation that I had and I shared with my colleague, I expressed to him these things. One of the things that I wanted to help him understand is that in the beginning, you got to leverage all of the networks, all of the people that you know, everyone in your community. Well, then you're just going to mention to them, hey, this is the work that you're doing. Now, getting past that work, getting past those efforts, in fact, you're going to find that people they're going to reach out to you. And that's a good thing. But once they reach out to you, you could feel, I need to keep this guy. So the only way I'm going to be able to keep them is by being the cheapest guy, the lowest price in town. But don't be afraid to charge them what you're worth. And notice what I'm saying here. Charge them for what you are worth. So what does that mean? Well, perhaps you're thinking like, well, how much do I charge? What am I exactly charging for? Take into account that you have to charge for the scope of work. So you know that from point A to point Z, the work that's involved has to be charged. What that is, only you can determine. In addition to that, you want to think about the materials to complete that scope of work. So you know that's added on. If you are investing a certain amount of marketing dollars or advertisement, then you know that cost also has to be factored as well. Now, this brings me to the point of my colleague, that when speaking with him, one of the things that I gathered from his comments was his desire to have more freedom, to have better jobs, better pay, yet he still felt the need or the urge to lower his prices, even though his skills were valuable. Nobody should have to feel that way. As a home service professional, you have to grapple with the feelings of being paid for the value of your services. And with my colleague, I expressed to him the encouragement, first of all, that he is a master at his craft, that he knows what he's talking about. In fact, he works on garage doors, I would say, that are very specific to the area where he lives, because he lives in an area where hurricanes affect the homes in his territory. That's big. Let's just think about that real quick. If you're just calling a garage door guy to come out and take a look at your garage door and give you a recommendation for a new door, but they don't have any concept of the needs based on the weather in that area, and they don't provide you a hurricane-rated garage door, and a hurricane comes through, man, you would have spent all of that money for nothing. So again, he has the ability to provide tremendous value to his customers based on the knowledge that he's acquired. That is valuable. So when I spoke to them about this, I told them that his skills, his expertise, the solution he provides is of significant value, and that we don't want to fall into the trap of undercutting ourselves. That is, race into the bottom. Now, here's a situation that he kind of felt like he was charging too much. He basically went to a property and he was helping a lady, one of his customers, that was missing a bolt in one of the track assemblies, a lag bolt in one of the track assemblies, clearly not being secured onto the wall. Think about that scenario, all right? Lag bolts are very important to a garage door track assembly because they attach onto the door jambs. Most lag bolts are like 2 inches, and that's not enough. Personally, I like a 4-inch lag, especially if I'm strapping into the door jamb, especially in a hurricane-affected area, because those doors just rip off the door jambs. And in essence, he had to charge his customer for going out over there to be able to identify the issue and to rectify it by putting in a sufficiently long door lag to secure that door track. You tell me, is that valuable? Tell me if that's something in your mind that you think is a valuable service. I want to go into a little story here real quick, and I want you to find the similarities. There's a story that goes around. I'm not going to say it verbatim. You've probably heard it, but it's basically there's this guy, this homeowner, who has hardwood flooring. And he's tired that every time he walks through a specific spot or part of his home on the hardwood floor, he hears a creak. He hears a noise, a crack. Every time, crack, crack. Does that get annoying? Absolutely. This homeowner is fed up. He's like, you know what? I don't know how to fix my hardwood floor. The story is that he calls a professional, and this home service professional comes over to the home, and he has the homeowner has the professional walk through the hardwood floor. He hears the creak. He hears the noise, and the home service pro says, oh, okay, I know what you need. I'll be right back. Now he comes back, he brings a screwdriver. And with the screwdriver, he makes, and I don't want to use this word in the sense of the focusing on the importance of the word, but he makes a minor adjustment, or he makes an adjustment. When he makes the adjustment, creak is gone. With the screwdriver, he's able to solve the customer's problem. So the customer was, wow, he's dumbfounded. He's like, man, that's crazy. And obviously the customer's thinking like, okay, well, this couldn't have cost that much. So he tells the home service professional, well, what's the damage? Home service pro says it's $500. And the customer's like, $500? You won't even hear 15 minutes. How could that be $500? And the pro said, you did not pay me, or you're not paying me for my time. You're paying me for my skills, my expertise, and the value that I bring in finding a solution to your problem. Now, clearly, the scenario, the story, correlates very well with the door lag to the garage door, correlates extremely well to the topic of this video, is that, again, we should not be getting paid for our time as home service pros. We should be getting paid for our value, what we bring to the table with regards to solutions, solving the problems of our customers. That's super important. I can tell you this past week, in fact, I had a great experience with a customer, a job that I did for his garage door that was sagging. And there was a number of things to this door system that was screaming, you need a new door. Nevertheless, couldn't afford it at the time. So by applying basically garage door struts, I was able to buy him some time. And we were able to get his door up and running. But there were some nuances, there were some little ticks to the door that I still needed to work through. I dedicated a little bit more time to work through those issues. But one of the things that I really appreciated from the customer is that he told me, you truly are a professional. Number one, you communicate really well. Number two, you know your craft, because I've been trying, he was saying, I've been trying to figure out this whole situation. In fact, I called someone else, and they were not even in tune to the needs of what my garage door problem was. But you get here, you immediately see this. In fact, he was very impressed how I was able to disengage the actual J-arm to the garage door, or connects the garage door to the trolley carriage to the garage door opener. He didn't even know how to do that. And so I'm kind of laughing a little bit because he's like, oh, you really know your stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow. And clearly, I'm not that I'm trying to keep a poker face, but I appreciate the fact that he's telling me that. But nevertheless, I know my craft. I know what his situation needed. I was able to provide a solution to solve his problem, relieve his headaches, peace of mind. That is valuable. So tell me, what would you charge for that? What would you charge for the experience that you bring, for the level of expertise, the value that you bring to your customers? Only you can answer that question. For me, it was a specific price point for this customer. And I don't think I charged him a lot. It wasn't a lot. He provided me some other quotes. And I was in that same range of the quotes. I didn't go to the highest point, but we also weren't the lowest. And so the issue is, or I should say the point that I'm trying to get at here is, you would need to know what that value is, what that price point is based on the value and what you do, how you solve it. Your expertise is what your customers are truly paying for. Your expertise is what you are charging for. That's what your customers want. They don't want necessarily someone just, charging them the lowest price and taking their money and not really solving their solution or providing them a solution for their problem. That happens all the time. In fact, I have a number of stories or experiences where I've come in after a supposed professional solved their garage door problem, and sure enough, it was a big issue. They didn't do anything to be able to help the customer. They ghost the customer. They do nothing to rectify a situation. So granted, this is a real situation. It happens all the time. You can be that person that changes this industry, your industry, based again, not on racing your way down to the bottom, but by charging for the value behind your expertise. And we really want to do that. And we can provide you, in fact, in this portion of the video, I want to provide some key pricing secrets, we'll call them that, based on what that value could be. So for example, you want to first understand your true value. You just want to price based on your time and your materials. You want to think about the problem solving. You want to think about how you're able to look, think, and act based on the needs of your customer's problem. You want to think of the convenience that you offer. So think about that. That could be, like, for example, your 24-hour service, the fact that you can get there within 5 minutes, the fact that you have the ability to be able to send a team, or that you have a resource of team. Like, for example, maybe you have someone within the industry, or perhaps maybe someone within the manufacturers that can help you and support you, getting the support to fix a problem. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe the value you provide could be like specific cost savings on maintenance, or some of the safety training that you could implement after the job. Like, that goes a long way. Like with a garage door installation after the job, I like to go over some of the safety protocols and parameters that are necessary for families, especially if they have children. I think about all the garden tools that can be stuck in the garage door track assembly. In addition to that, I like to highlight the safety sensors, all of the Wi-Fi capabilities, if they have a camera. That stuff, that time, being able to talk about all of those great bells and whistles, but more importantly, provide the benefits behind why it's important to understand these things. That is added value. So understand your true value is the number one pricing structure secret that we'll share with you. Number two, don't be afraid to charge for your expertise. So your years of experience, perhaps you went to training school, perhaps you had to get your license, perhaps you had to pay for a program so that you could have the level of skill that you do. Charge for that. That is tremendous value. I know that within the garage, I'd like to address that within other industries, you have to get a license, especially in California and different areas. I'm grateful that in California, you have to get a D28, a C61, C61 limited liability license for garage door works. I love that. I have mine. I'm licensed, bonded, insured. I go the whole 9 yards. Why? Because I know that provides value. I've had a number of customers, in fact, ask me, hey, are you licensed? Are you insured? Are your employees covered? Am I going to be able to find you if something goes south? Are you going to ghost me? And I love the fact that I can tell my customer, absolutely, we are licensed, we are bonded, we are insured, and we want to provide a level of service that keeps you happy and provides you peace of mind. That value you want to charge for.
Home Service Pros, running your business shouldn't feel chaotic. If you're constantly overwhelmed, missing deadlines, drowning in details, and feel like your business is running you, then something really needs to change. That change for us was Jobber. Jobber gives you the tools to take back control of your business. Their CRM platform helps you manage everything from scheduling, invoicing, to clients, all in one place. Jobber's not just software, it's your business command center. Jobber saves you time, boosts your productivity, and helps you focus on growth. We're using Jobber now, and we're not going back. Stop letting your business run you. Click the link below for a free 14-day trial and get Jobber today.
So that's the second thing that we wanted to take into account. Don't be afraid to charge for your expertise specifically. And we've talked about that earlier in the video. Now, also, this is the third secret, recognize hidden value. Now, what do I mean by hidden value? Well, this could be the simplest fix that has the biggest impact. Think of this like your special sauce, your specific trade secret, which could easily be a trade secret within the industry, but your customers don't know that. They're not going to necessarily say like, oh, hey, yeah, and when you do fix my garage door, when you do replace my springs, I want to make sure that they're the high cycle springs. I rarely have customers ask me about that. Now, should they care about high cycle springs? Absolutely. They should completely care. The first question I wish my customers would ask me is like, oh, okay, you're going to replace my springs. Tell me, how many cycles are the springs that you're offering me? And I love that question because I'm going to be able to tell them our springs are rated at a minimum. The entry level is 20,000 cycles or more. It's so funny because I think about that. I want to highlight this especially because you can glean a similar point within your trade. But like guys within the garage door industry, they're charging what, $200, $300, let's just say $300, right? For a pair of springs or spring replacement. But what size are those springs? Are they high cycle springs? Are they the springs that are going to be able to give the customer longevity and the usage out of their garage door? I guarantee you they don't even talk about that. And if they do offer a high cycle spring, well, normally it'll be an upcharge. Now, granted, we can upcharge our customer too, but the value that we bring right off the bat, right in the beginning, is going to be better than the normal 10,000 cycle spring. So we're already double that just when our customers call us. That's something that we offer, something that we do. That is that secret hidden value, that special sauce to keep them happy. That's number 3. Number 4, building pricing confidence. Now, it's okay to feel a little uncomfortable about your pricing initially, especially if you want to raise your prices. Perfectly fine to feel uncomfortable. In this economy, you're going to have to. At 145% tariffs or whatever, you're going to have to raise your prices. If you want to stay in business, if you want to continue to have your home service business, you need to raise your prices. And by raising your prices, obviously, you're going to understand that, okay, you got to be able to bring something to the table. So building confidence in your pricing structure is going to allow you to do that. Now, granted, you can always offset certain things. For example, I tend to, like, my bread and butter will always be service. So doing the service calls will definitely be a lot more lucrative. And I think that's in most cases of most home service trades. Service calls are great. I could go, man, if I could do springs all day, that'd be great. New installs, new door installations, those take a little bit more time. They are lucrative as well. But the reason why I say is that I'll offset. What I mean by this is basically I charge a little bit more on the service side because I know the value that I bring. But when it comes to the door install, I will make more efforts to be competitive, to find pricing that works within the customer's budget, to provide solutions such as promotions, which is basically like financing. You give them that option. And that feels good because I know that I'm at least being fair. Again, the value that I bring is going to be balanced. So having that confidence will give me the opportunity through over time and that pricing structure where maybe I don't necessarily make a lot of money on the high end, but on the low end, I'll be able to make that up. And so there you go. Those are 4 key pricing secrets to structure your home service business pricing. It's understanding your true value. Don't be afraid to charge for your expertise. Find that secret sauce, that hidden value that you bring. Build a pricing guide or build confidence in your pricing guide. That's what you want to do. Now, what actionable steps can you take today so that way you can charge worth your value or the value that you are worth Well, we're going to give you some actionable steps. This is going to be some things you're going to do right now, today, in your home service business. Number one, reflect on your past jobs. In fact, reflect on the last quarter. Go through the months, look at your invoices, see how every single job perhaps had a specific charge with parts, material, tax, gas. Think of everything that went involved in there, into doing that job. The time that it took. Perhaps it was a rainy day, and maybe it was just, maybe you needed air in the tires. Maybe you needed new tires. Regardless of whatever it was, all the circumstances and the context of those invoices that you look in those past 3 months, find out what you charged. Ask yourself, did I undercharge? Ask yourself, what was the true value provided in this job? This will give you an excellent metric on where you can set your pricing, and again, be priced for the value that you provide based on your expertise. That's step number one. Step number two, research the market. Okay, so when I say research the market, technically, you basically kind of want to gauge your customers, talk to your customers whenever you do the job. Ask them, hey, why did you end up going with us? Were we the cheapest? Were we the most expensive? Why did you choose us? And most times customers will say oh yeah, you know what, your pricing was on. I have a lot of customers tell me your pricing was the same, but I liked you because of how professional you were. I liked you because I saw you on YouTube, huh? Secret sauce. Start building your YouTube channel. Start growing your brand. That's a different video, but this is what we're all about. In fact, if you want to learn how to do those things, I have my own coaching program. There's a link below. Reach out, DM me. We want to work with you. We want to make your home service business a success. But the market will definitely provide you some feedback. Understand what other professionals in your area are also charging for similar services. I don't necessarily like to call other guys and say hey, what's your pricing? But if you have colleagues in your area, talk to them. And you can even be as transparent as possible. You can say hey, you know what? I'm wanting to make sure that I'm being competitive in this area. What do you guys normally charge for? If you have a friend that you constantly see, maybe a colleague, especially if it's someone that you used to work with in the past, and say hey, what are you guys installing X for? Or how much are you guys getting for this job? And if they're friends, they'll tell you. I tend to find that most of those guys will lie. Oh yeah, we're charging $1,000 for springs. Okay. You can charge $1,000. That I'm not saying you can't. Obviously, if it's a high cycle spring, you can definitely charge that price. But think in terms of what the market is doing, and then base your pricing off of that. That's something that you can do today. That's an actionable step 2. Actionable step 3 is calculate your costs. Ensure that your pricing covers your overhead, your labor, and what allows for a healthy profit margin. That's the bare minimum. And what is a healthy profit margin? Well, according to the robots, at Google, anywhere from 10 to 20%. Steady growth, 10 to 20% profit margin. If you're in there, great. That's awesome. You're doing it. You have a successful home service business. Not that it's the only thing that determines the success of your home service business, but you're within the industry. So calculate the costs. And the things that we've just mentioned are a bare minimum. It doesn't count all of that secret soft stuff. It doesn't count all of the great things that you do, that you bring as value to the home service trades. So just calculate that. Think about it. Number 4, communicate your value. Clearly explain to your customers the benefits of your service and why you are priced the way you are priced. Now, don't misunderstand this as justifying your prices. Never justify your prices. I'll say that again. Never justify your prices. Because the reality is, there's so many other things in the world where people will pay for and those companies never have to justify. Like, how many times have you seen someone at a Starbucks go up to the line and like, oh, it's going to be $6 for a coffee. And they're like, $6? Why are you guys charging $6? It's Starbucks. You knew what you were signing up for when you walked into the Starbucks and you bought your salty caramel macchiato dripped with angel tears and unicorn dust. You're going to pay for that stuff. That stuff it's a cost. What's the value behind it? Hey, you got a nice sugary coffee that's going to make you all warm inside or cold, whether you like it or not. I don't know how you like it. But the point is, Starbucks never justifies their price. Apple, iPhones, $1,000. iPhones are $1,000. Do you think Apple ever gets on a commercial and says, "Oh, guys, you know what? The reason why we're charging $1,000 for the iPhone is because of blah." Tim Cook. He needed new sneakers, or that was Steve Jobs. Well, I think Tim Cook wears sneakers too. I digress. The point is that none of those companies justify their pricings. You don't have to justify your pricing. Your price is based on the value that you bring, the expertise that you bring. So when a customer asks me, "Hey, so why are you priced so high?" And I said, I know I'm not the cheapest, but I am the best at what I do. And if you even wanted to say something even a little bit more finessed, our price reflects the tremendous value that we bring to solve your problem. Again, that's not justifying anything. That's just basically saying, hey, we're charging you based on our value. If someone wants to ask me, hey, can you do it for less? I like to use the Alex Hormozy. I'm like, no, I can do it for more. I can do it for double. And they're like, whoa, they're like freaked out and just like, yeah. And I'm honest with them. Like, oh, you can't do a little bit better on the price? I'm like, no, but I can charge you more. And that's not necessarily a jerk move. But again, it helps them to understand that our pricing, or the price that you have, we are confident that the pricing that we have is for the value that we bring. So communicate that value to your customer. That's actionable step number 4. Number 5, don't be afraid to say no. Not every job is the right fit for you, your company, especially if the client is solely focused on the lowest price, doesn't value your expertise. It's okay to say, you know what? Doesn't seem like we're going to be a right fit for you guys. If you guys want to, move forward, just let us know. We'll provide you a quote, and, it can be good for 15 days, 30 days, whatever the case is. There's so many sales tactics that, again, this is such a different video. We could go on for days talking about this, but the point is you want to be able to say no to the jobs that you know are not going to pay you for your value. So that's good stuff right there. I mean, I love this, just thinking about how the conversation that I had with my colleague, going over the pricing secrets, now the 4 actionable steps, we'll go over them again. Reflect on your past jobs, research the market, calculate your costs, communicate your value to your customers. You notice how I'm really big on communication? That is key. Communication is like 85% of success in your life. And number 5, don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to tell the customer, you know what, we're just not the right fit for you. When it comes to your home service business, it is more than likely that you are leaving money on the table. And the reason why it's more than likely is because sometimes, day in and day out, we constantly have to polish and we have to work on making sure that our messaging, that our communication, that our ability to transmit the value behind our services is worth something. One of the reasons why your customers are looking to work with you is because they want the best. They want to work with the best, and you are the best. All of you are. And I know probably some of you are thinking not all of us can be the best. Yeah, you're the best at something. You're the best at what you bring, that special sauce. You're the best at what you do, perhaps in your area, or perhaps just down the street in your family, whatever the case is. You are the best. Customers want to work with the best. Communicate that you are the best based on the value that you provide your customer. When you have the ability of doing that, say, ball's in your court. Where should we go from here? What do you want to do? Don't speak. First one to speak loses. More likely than none, it's going to be your customer. They're going to say, you know what? I want to work with you. You're the best. You were the one that was able to communicate the value. You were able to tell me what I needed to get done, the scope of work, what you needed to do, how you do it, the special sauce, all of that. I want to work with you. And when you hear that from your customer, man, that's one of the best feelings. That's when you know you're pricing the value behind the expertise that you bring for your services in your home service business.